I didn't expect a phone call, not really. But I didn't expect that text either. It came at 9:14 a.m. from my mother's number, but signed by both of them. "Hey, sweetheart, we were thinking it's probably easier if you just watch the wedding online. With all the guests and seating in Blake's family, it might get complicated. No offense. Hope that's okay." I read it twice. Then again. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a blow-up. It was a shrug. I stared at the message while my tea sat untouched. Cold now. On my laptop, an invoice for $14,750 still blinked open. Floral deposit. In my name. For the venue I booked. For the wedding I wasn't welcome at, not really. My name is Erin Caldwell. I'm 37. I live in Austin, Texas. I work in strategy at a renewable energy startup. I don't cry easily, not anymore. And my sister Haley, she's getting married next Saturday, just outside Dallas. To Blake, the man my parents practically adore. I helped plan it. I paid for most of it. Quietly, efficiently, because that's what I do. But apparently, I don't belong. I didn't reply. I just stared at the line that hurt more than it should have. Hope that's okay. They didn't say, "Don't come." They said you were never really supposed to. It's not like I was ever the favorite. But for a long time, I thought being the reliable one meant something. When Haley failed out of her first semester at Tulane, I helped her reapply to a smaller college near home. I paid her application fees, drove her to interviews. When Dad's consulting work dried up in 2016 and they almost lost the lake house, I dipped into my savings, the one I was putting away for a home, and wired them $18,000 with no questions asked. When Mom had her hip surgery, I flew back and stayed 10 days canceling meetings, grocery shopping, handling meds, even scrubbing the bathroom. Haley posted a throwback selfie that week with the caption, "Forever my parents rock." She got 430 likes. I got tendinitis. I don't need applause. Never did. But somewhere along the way, I began to realize when I held things together, they assumed it was just the weather. No one remembers the person who patches the roof. They just complain when the floor gets wet again. The wedding was just more of the same. Haley wanted a Pinterest-perfect barn venue outside of Dallas, the kind with Edison Light's live cello and a curated grazing table. It was out of budget. Blake's parents said they'd contribute a symbolic amount. My parents were between situations, so I booked it under my name and told Haley not to stress. She didn't, not once. The more I handled, the more they vanished me. At first, it was little things. I wasn't added to the bridal group chat. I was told to wear whatever you want. You always look good in navy. I offered to help with the seating chart. Haley said, "You're not great with dynamics. It's just better if Blake and I handle it with Mom." Dynamics. I almost laughed. I've led M&A negotiations across 3 continents. The planner called me once to confirm a change in lighting design. I said I didn't know. She sounded confused. "I thought you were handling the production side." I had been. Until I wasn't. The more I faded from the process, the easier everything seemed for them. I became the utility line they forgot they were still plugged into. And then, the mini blow came. Sasha, my assistant, forwarded me an email she wasn't supposed to get. A casual thread from the planner discussing the final wedding album shot list. Buried halfway down was this line from my mother: "Please make sure the bride's sister isn't in the front row photos. Haley prefers it that way. No, please consult. No explanation. Just a decision." That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling and tried to remember the last time any of them asked how I was doing. I couldn't. It's strange how you can disappear without ever leaving. The first time I noticed it was Haley's bridal brunch. I flew in early, stayed at a hotel I booked myself, and brought the engraved glassware she forgot to order. I wasn't listed on the invite, but I hoped they'd acknowledge I was behind most of it. Photos went up on Facebook that night. Dozens. Everyone laughing. Champagne flutes glinting in sunlight. Matching robes. I scrolled until the end, wondering where I was. I appeared once. Blurry. Half hidden behind a flower arch. No tag. The album was titled "The Most Magical Crew a Bride Could Ask For." I wasn't crew. I was scaffolding. A week later, Haley launched the official wedding website. I visited it out of habit. There was a section, "Meet the VIPs, bridesmaids' parents, even Blake's great-uncle Gary." I wasn't there. I searched. There I was at the bottom under a category called Extended Family Support. No bio, no link, just my first name, spelled wrong. And then, the final click, I tried logging into the wedding planning portal I had built for them with timelines, invoices, contracts. It redirected me to a "You've been removed from this project" screen. No message, no heads up, just gone. I sat there staring at the screen, and for the first time in a while, I felt something I hadn't let myself feel. Humiliation, not anger, not grief. Just that quiet, cutting sense that I had overstayed a welcome I was never really given. That night, I looked back at the email Sasha had forwarded, the one with Mom's request to move me out of the final photo line. The message thread showed who had approved it. Haley. The same Haley I sat up with for nights during her college meltdown. The same Haley I bailed out of a lease without telling Mom and Dad. She signed off on the deletion with a thumbs-up emoji. I didn't tell anyone I was stepping back. I just stopped stepping in. Haley's second dress fitting was scheduled for a Tuesday. I had arranged it 2 months earlier, sent the deposit, confirmed the tailor. I didn't go. No one asked why. 2 days later, a final bridal fitting selfie went up. Haley, her maid of honor, our mother. All smiles. No mention of who paid for the alterations. I quietly removed myself from the shared Dropbox folder titled Haley's Wedding Caldwell Family. No one noticed. I logged into the florist's booking portal, the one with the lush white peonies Haley wanted, even though they weren't in season, and updated the contact email. I listed the bride's own Gmail with a note, "Please direct future queries here." I sat in my kitchen late that night, the lights off except for the laptop screen. The same invoice page still blinked unpaid. That's when I started collecting receipts. Not just financial ones. All of them. Screenshots, threads, notes from vendors thanking me for fast replies. The version history of the wedding website where I saw how my name had once been in the planning team section before someone quietly deleted that line. There was no statement, no fight, no "I'm done." I just let go of the rope and watched if anyone noticed it fall. They didn't. That weekend, I posted a single story to Instagram. A photo from a cafe in Austin, a table for two, but only one seat taken. The tea was untouched. A blank place card sat across from it. No caption. No face. Just silence. Sasha replied with a single emoji. She understood. The next morning, I deleted the shared Google Calendar invite for the wedding weekend. Not one person resent it to me. I didn't cancel my hotel. I just never packed. The absence became its own kind of statement. Not bold, just unmissable if anyone had cared enough to look. The week of the wedding, the air in Austin turned heavy with late spring heat. I worked late every night, but my mind wasn't on work. It circled back to one line. Watch it online. Okay? I never replied. On Wednesday, 2 days before the rehearsal dinner, I met Dean, our in-house counsel, over lunch. "I'm not suing anyone," I said before he even opened his menu. He laughed once. "No need. You just want to stop footing the bill." He walked me through the language. Simple. Factual. Effective immediately, Aaron Caldwell withdraws all financial sponsorship and logistical coordination related to the wedding of Haley Caldwell and Blake Henson. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. The next morning, the message went out. From my personal email, not work, not legal letterhead. Attached confirmation numbers, cancellations, voided invoices. Vendors copied, timeline included. By Friday, the cracks were visible. I got my first message from the wedding planner, a woman named Kira I'd never met in person, but who had relied on me for 6 months. "Hi, Aaron, just received your note. Are you sure you want to withdraw entirely? Some elements may be hard to replace this close." No greeting, no warmth, just panic veiled as politeness. I didn't respond. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was Mom. I watched it ring 5 times, then go quiet. She didn't leave a voicemail. By Saturday morning, the day of the wedding, the unraveling had begun. The florist called Haley's number at 6:42 a.m. to confirm delivery. The credit card declined. The string quartet canceled, no final payment received. The shuttle vans from the hotel stopped, service booking voided. The barn venue, the one I had placed the original deposit on, remained open, but now with a $14 $750 balance due. And then came the tent. Blake's parents had assumed it was taken care of. It wasn't. Kira tried to put it on rush order, but the supplier wouldn't release it without payment up front, and Haley had maxed out her own card on favors and signage. Guests arrived to find no flowers, no tent, no music, just folding chairs on hot gravel and a half-decorated altar. The photos that emerged were stark. Someone tried to salvage it with Polaroids. One showed Haley clutching her bouquet store-bought tulips with a face twisted between rage and disbelief. I watched it unfold from Big Bend National Park, 4 hours west, where I'd driven with no cell signal. Just me, a paperback, and a glass bottle of Topo Chico sweating in the sun. Sasha kept me updated by email once I got back into service. Bride's mom had a full-on breakdown. Guests started leaving after 40 minutes. Some thought it was a prank. There was no live stream. The planner hadn't paid for the package, so technically I had watched it from afar. But there was nothing to see. No ceremony, no celebration, no center. That night, Haley posted one photo, a blurry black and white selfie of her and Blake standing in a field captioned Private Vows. No filters, just love. I almost respected the spin. What none of them knew was that I hadn't taken anything away. I had only withdrawn what was never truly acknowledged in the first place. They thought I disappeared. But I had only stopped carrying what was never meant to be mine. It took 3 days before someone knocked. I was back in Austin sitting on my patio with a book open and unread when I heard the doorbell. Through the glass, I saw my father khakis collared shirt, same expression he wore at every holiday dinner when someone brought up politics. Behind him, my mother clutched her purse like it might get stolen. They didn't look angry. Just rehearsed. Sweetheart, Mom started. Can we come in? I didn't move. I have 10 minutes. They stepped inside like strangers in a museum. Everything was clean, minimal, curated. A single framed photo me at Machu Picchu smiling. Alone. We're not here to blame, Dad said. We just want to talk. Figure out how things got misunderstood. Misunderstood. As if I tripped and fell out of the wedding photos by accident. We were under pressure, Mom added. Haley was stressed. The planner messed up. It wasn't about you. I said nothing. Dad sighed. But the way things turned out, it's made Haley look irresponsible, ungrateful. Blake's family is upset. You know how perception works. There it was. Not an apology, a request for image management. Mom leaned in slightly. If you could just put out a statement, something neutral, like you had a work conflict or preferred to let them have their space, that would really help smooth things over. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was asking for PR. I turned toward the hallway as Sasha stepped out holding a folder. She paused, then walked past them, laying it on the side table with a nod to me. She didn't say a word. My mother blinked. That's your assistant? I nodded. One of them. Silence. And then the twist I hadn't expected. A text later that night from Aunt Lily, the one who always stood up for me at family events, the one who once whispered, "You don't deserve the way they treat you." Her message read, "Maybe don't drag this out, Aaron. It's already messy. We all need to move on, not we owe you an apology. Not how are you. Just let it die quietly. Even the ones who saw it happen would rather bury it than acknowledge the rot. When even the ones who once defended you ask for silence. What exactly were they defending to begin with?" I didn't respond to Aunt Lily. I didn't send a statement. I didn't post a clarification. I didn't show up to the post-wedding brunch Haley invited me to 3 days late, a last-minute message that read, "We missed you. Let's just catch up, okay? No drama. No drama." Like everything hadn't unraveled in front of 80 guests and a shuttered catering tent. The truth was, I wasn't angry anymore. Anger implies you still want something from them, an explanation, an apology, maybe even love. I didn't. What I wanted was space wide enough that they could no longer pretend I was part of their story. At work, Sasha updated my calendar. We removed the placeholder events titled Haley Wedding Tasks. She didn't ask why, she just renamed the folder Closed, Not Forgotten. That Friday, Mom sent one final email. Just checking in. Your father and I are still your parents, Aaron. We love you. Please don't let this divide us forever. I sat with that line for a while. I thought about everything I'd funded Carried organized. I thought about that RSVP list, about the planner email, about Blake's toast where he thanked everyone who made this day possible and never once mentioned me. Then I typed one sentence I was always there. You just built a life that worked better when I wasn't. I didn't sign it with love. I didn't press send. I printed it, folded it, slipped it into an envelope, and left it on the hallway table next to the untouched invitation for Haley's postponed celebration dinner. I never opened that envelope again. A week later, I walked into the small UPS store near South Congress with a single padded envelope in my hand. Inside a thumb drive labeled in my handwriting, Expenses, Caldwell Wedding. Final. Also inside the printed letter I never sent. The one that said I was always there. You just built a life that worked better when I wasn't. I didn't leave a return address. I paid in cash. And I walked out without looking back. That evening, I cleaned out my apartment not of things, but of shadows. I deleted the family shared album on my cloud drive, unfollowed Haley, muted Mom, archived the folder with venue notes and invoice breakdowns. I brewed a cup of Darjeeling and set it on the kitchen table across from an empty chair. Then I took the last wedding photo I'd ever saved, the blurry one, where I stood behind the flower arch, and slid it out of its frame. I replaced it with a new one. Me alone in Big Bend. No filter, no caption. Just sun sweat and silence. I left the old photo on the table, face down. The next morning, I found a message in my inbox. It was from the planner. Short, no greeting. Received the final documents. Understood. Understood. Not thank you. Not we're sorry. That was fine. I didn't need closure from people who had never left a door open. That Sunday, I visited a local antique market. I wasn't looking for anything, but I saw a wooden place card holder carved worn. It had space for 2 names. I bought it, took it home, slid in a single piece of paper. It read, Reserved, Not Forgotten. I placed it across the table in front of the empty chair, and I didn't speak. They asked me to watch the wedding from a distance, so I did, and from there, I watched them fall. If you've ever been quietly erased from a story you helped build, just leave one word they never gave you.